Good evening. It's Tuesday night, live, coming to you from the big town of Sherman, Texas. Welcome to Life in Focus tonight. We've been studying about the journey and overcoming addiction, so we're going to continue that theme tonight. But at first, I want to have a couple of announcements. Next week, Thursday night, August 4th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're starting a reboot class for PTSD at the First United Bank in Bonham, Texas. We want you to come if you have PTSD and in combat. It's a great class. It's not clinical. It's very relaxed and very helpful to those. We've graduated one class of 6 about a month ago, and it went really great. And some of those will be there Thursday night to greet you, and we'll also serve you dinner there that night. So we're looking forward to having you come out on August the 4th at 6 p.m. in Bonham, Texas at the First United Bank, and in their conference room there, and we're going to have a wonderful time. And it'll be everybody, it'll be veterans there and those that have had the lived experience of PTSD in combat, and we can share with one another and heal one another and help one another. We can do that. So, with that said, let's get going. Our theme is never stop arriving. Never stop arriving. We've always got to be arriving at some point in our life. And in this journey of addiction, recovery, we don't want to ever stop arriving. We know that AA says one day at a time, right? We get up every morning, we arrive that day, and we make it through that day, and then we celebrate that night that we made it through that day sober. And it's a wonderful feeling. Then the next day morning, you get up, you arrive again at the next destination. We know we've been studying about the Santiago journey over in Spain, about the 200-mile journey, and every day you go 15 miles or so. You start out and you walk to the next town and you arrive that night. And then you get up the next day and you start out and you arrive again. So you just keep arriving every day, until after 2 weeks, you arrive at a destination that your goal was set for. It's not the final arrival by any means, but that is what happens. So, never stop arriving, okay? Let's play our theme song. Get it out in a minute. Okay, here we go.
Shoulders, shake the chains from my heart, let the crushed and silent voice within declare a new start. Song of renewal deep in my heart, sung in the daylight, sung in the dark. Troubles in this life weigh on my mind, but I live stronger, stronger to leave them behind. Living doesn't last forever. I wanna live while I'm here. Recovery is on the way. Breathe in the wonder. Today is not forever. Dream big, see clear. Living doesn't last forever. I wanna live while I'm here. Recovery's on the way. Breathe in the wonder. Today is not forever. Dream big, see clear. Life is now or never. Now or never.
Okay, we're back. We're going to start talking about first principles tonight. If you've been in recovery or you've been dealing with the recovery model, helping people recover from drug addiction, alcohol addiction, those type of things, sex addiction, we know that it's a tough journey. And according to statistics, only 5 to 12% make long-term sobriety. So it's quite a unique club, those that make long-term sobriety. But there's thousands and thousands of people in the other 95 to 88 to 95% that are struggling every day with addiction. And it's a horrible, horrible thing to have on your back every day, not liking yourself, continually thinking you're failing, continually sometimes thinking you're a piece of you know what. So, we want to talk tonight. Maybe we can come up with a little different twist, and I'm not putting down AA or anybody else, okay? We just need to do something to help those that are not in the 5 to 12% make long-term sobriety. A lot of people make it 3 to 6 months, some a year, but my definition of long-term sobriety is at least 4 years. Okay? And it's a tough journey to get there to that 4-year mark without relapsing at some point. So let's go. Let's talk about first principles. What is first principles? We know that most of us think about when we want to do something, we think about improving on something that already is. And we come up and we take whatever is that can be. We can use an example of first principle thinking, okay, analogies and those type of things. So there was this guy driving down the road out in the middle of nowhere, and it was raining, and he had a flat. So he got out of his car, and been raining, there's a big ditch there, it's full of water, full of mud, and so he gets his jack out, he gets his spare tire out, and he jacks the car up, takes the lug nuts off, puts them in the hubcap, and gets his spare tire ready to go and take the old one off, and steps on the hubcap and flips all the lug nuts in the muddy ditch. He gets down and tries to find them. The water's running swiftly. He cannot find the lug nuts, so he doesn't know what to do. He's all muddy now. He's all soaking wet. He's frustrated. He's upset, and he don't know what to do. So what would be your solution to that issue? What would you advise him to do? Because he's out in the middle of nowhere. It was before cell phones, so he's just stuck. Muddy, he's cold, he's dirty, he's wet, and he's stuck. It's a road where hardly anybody comes down, especially during a storm. So the solution to that problem is to take a lug nut off of each of the other 3 tires, wheels, and then mount a spare on and put 3 lug nuts on it. And don't go 80 miles an hour, but get to the next town and get you some more lug nuts and get cleaned up and dried out. And maybe even eat. Okay? So there's usually a simple solution to every issue that we encounter. Sometimes before we learn or figure out a solution or come up with a solution to the issue that we're in, we get all muddy and dirty. I'm sure most of you have heard the story of the prodigal son that went off in a wonderful state of mind, pockets full of money, and went to a place and partied and did all that kind of thing, and then a recession hit. He spent all his money, he bought rounds at the local bar, and then he run out of money and he run out of friends. And there was not any work hardly available. He was a long way from home. And he got a job with the old boy feeding the hogs, and he was so hungry. He was so hungry. He had no money. And I don't know whether the guy paid him every day or what. He even got so hungry, he almost ate the hog food, whatever that was. So sometimes we get ourselves in predicaments that if we would have been somewhat wiser, we would not have ended up there. But we weren't, were we? So it doesn't make any difference. People tell you, why do you do this? Well, I just do it. I've been doing it. So what's the issue that we can do to do that? So first principles are coming up with a solution to issues that doesn't improve on past successes of other people, just improving it a little bit, but it is a principle that you start all over with a whole new thought. Now, the best example I know of that is Elon Musk. He decided he wanted to get to Mars. How many would like to go to Mars? So anyway, he decided he wanted to go to Mars, and he went to Russia and he tried to buy some of their ICBM rockets without the nuclear warheads on them, and they were very expensive. The Russians thought he was kind of weirded out, okay, and they wanted a lot of money for him, so that solution didn't work out for Elon Musk. He tried to buy other rockets, he tried several different things, and finally he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to start my own rocket company and build my own rocket. The guy never built a rocket in his life. Didn't know anything about it. So he began to study. So if you want to get sober, what's one of the things you need to do? If you haven't been sober in years, what do you need to do? You need to decide with the first principle. So, rockets were $65 million. He couldn't afford that either. He didn't have that much money at the time. And so he said, well, what can I do to make a rocket that I can afford? So he sat down and began to think. And he thought, well, what is in a rocket ship? Well, there's metal, there's copper, there's fuel, there's, all kind of motors, rocket motors, boosters, all those kind of things are in a rocket ship. So he said, well, what if I gathered all those raw materials up, how much would it cost me? For just the raw materials that goes into a rocket ship. And he got them all together, he figured it up, and it was a finished rocket cost that he could buy, cost $65 million. He come up with raw materials that cost $1.3 million, or 2% of what a completed rocket would cost, that cost $65 million. So then he said, how much is it going to cost me to put all these raw materials and put them into a configuration of a rocket ship that will fly? So he figured it up, and he come up with a figure of $6 to $10 million to build a rocket ship. So he built a rocket ship, put it on a pad, put it on the rocket launch pad and fired it up, and it blew up. So he built another one. How many have ever started on the road to recovery, the road to sobriety, and you had great intentions, and when you got everything to the rocket launch pad, it just blew up on you, and you relapsed? So you decided, I'm going to do this again. So you get everything together, you build your new rocket, you build your new plan, and you get it all together, you put it on the rocket pad and fire it off, and it blows up. So you're down 2-0. Okay? So you said, well, I'm going to try this again. So you get everything together again, you get your thoughts together again, you make your new plan, and you build your new rocket, you build your new plan, and you put it on the launch pad, and you fire it off and say, I'm going to make it this time, and boom, it all blows up. You don't make it. So you're 3-0. 3 strikes will always hurting you out, right? Or the third time is a charm, whichever. So Elon had enough money for one more rocket. And if he didn't get this one to work, he was history. He just had enough money for one more rocket. How many have ever felt like you just had one more recovery in you? Just one more. I want to do it. Try it one more time. Get everything together. I'm going to try it one more time. And lo and behold, the fourth time, he fired the rocket off and it flew. Went to orbit. So, let's take a first principle situation, okay? Let me find the right page here. Okay, so here's a scenario that we have. I want you to help me out here. I want you to think first principles. Forget about anything else that was ever invented or what everybody else is doing. Let's get this thing together so we can get it going. So we have a motorboat. A motorboat has a motor and it has a hull. And if it's a ski boat, you got a pair of skis. So there you go. First principles here. We got a motor, we got a hull of a boat, or the body of the boat, and a pair of skis. We got an army tank, okay? It's got metal treads on it, it's got steel armor plates all over it, and it's got a gun, okay? Things blow up on us, we'll at least have a gun we can shoot people with. Don't take that to heart, I didn't say that. Okay, that was a mistake. And we got a bicycle. We got handlebars, we got wheels, we got gears, and we got a seat. So what can we make with these? What can we make with these? What can we create from these individual parts? How about a snowmobile? Okay, let's see what a snowmobile has. A snowmobile has a set of skis, okay? A snowmobile has treads, like on a tank, okay? A snowmobile has a seat. It has a steering wheel. It has a chain, it has gears. So we can take those, a motorboat, a tank, and a bicycle, and thinking outside the box, we can build a snowmobile. We can build a snowmobile. So that's what we can do. How many had ever thought about taking a tank, a motorboat, ski boat, and a bicycle and making a snowmobile. That's first principles. That's not thinking outside the box. That's thinking without the box. So we can do that. Like Elon Musk took a bunch of raw materials, metal, fuel, all kind of different things, and made a rocket ship. Did he succeed at first? No, he did not. But he had never built a rocket ship before. He had to study. He had to read books on it. He met with people, asked them how rockets really worked, figured it out, and then built a rocket. Figured out how to make a deal that a place that you could build a rocket, what tools he needed. So I want you to understand, I don't know how many times you've been to treatment. I don't know how many times you've done those type of things, but I want you to understand that you might have failed 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, but let's keep building rockets. I'm sorry. My time is up. Man, just flies by. So it's time to go tonight. But we'll continue this theme of first principles next week. So be sure and tune in next week at 6 p.m. And we'll continue this discussion of first principles, and hopefully you and I together can come up with a solution that will help multitudes, thousands of people get long-term sobriety. I love you very much. May God bless you and keep you. May He go with you and prosper you. And may you be blessed and highly favored. God bless you.